Welcome to the weekly well-being deep dive with Dr. Elizabeth Davidson. This week we are tackling the topic of energy. Do you
Deep
have
dive
enough?
with
Where does it come from? How can you regain it if you've lost it? And why have you lost it? So let's dive in. Um, this is a place for anyone who is ready to conquer chronic illness. No matter what your diagnosis is, it often has very similar roots. So, today, talking about energy, it could be that you have chronic fatigue syndrome. It could be that you just don't feel good enough to do what you want to do. But really, we should all be able to live the lives that we want to live. And if our health is getting in the way, that's a big problem. And I want to help you solve it. So, here we go. Today's topic, energy. Do you have as much as you want? And if not, why not? Well, this is a personal question for lots of people. Do they have enough energy? But what I find so much of the time is people say they're tired or they need that cup of coffee in the afternoon in order to get through the rest of their day. And to me, that says that they don't have the energy they need to do what they love. And if you're the kind of person who uses all your energy to take care of your family and do your job, but then you don't have any left to do the fun things that are just for you, then I would argue that you don't have enough energy either. So if you want to have enough energy to do what you love, this is a good place for you to be. So these are the extremely basic requirements to have enough energy. You need oxygen, so breathing is good. But we all take a deep breath. Yes. Hydration. Water is good, but you want to make sure that you are actually getting hydrated from your water, and most of us aren't. One super simple trick is to just add a little bit of sea salt to your water. It'll help to ionize it. If you want even better tricks, contact me. It's a whole other deep dive that I'll do next week. But I have some really good tricks for getting the hydration out of your water that you should get, because you're only going to get hydrated from it if your cells can absorb it. So we want to make sure that that transfer is able to happen. Talk to me. Another requirement is to have enough high quality nutrition. When I say high quality, this can mean different things for different people, but a huge piece of that is getting enough protein. A lot of people don't get enough protein. You get really, really quick energy from carbs, and the more refined those carbs are, the quicker the energy. It's kind of like burning paper in a fire. You get that big burst, it's really quick, and then it goes away. But you need protein in order to sustain that energy. That's kind of like putting a big log on the fire. It'll sustain that fire for a long time. Same with your energy. You need some high quality protein. If you want recommendations on that, again, that's another deep dive I could do, but please feel free to get in touch and I would love to help. And then restful sleep. This is a huge challenge for so many people. And having been an insomniac for years, I totally understand. I've solved that now. And I love people helping solve that because, wow, it is a whole world changer if you get enough sleep and it feels good and restful. So, again, reach out if you have questions on how to accomplish that. And we're going to move on to more about energy. So, what steals our energy? Well, if you have all of those other things in place that I just talked about and you still don't have energy, then likely what's stealing it is some kind of infection. And I know most of you are like, well, I don't have an infection. If I had an infection, my MD would have caught it, or it would have shown up in my last blood work, or I'd have a fever, or any of that stuff. But not necessarily. Infections can be really subtle and kind of hide under the radar. And they may just result in stuff like fatigue or joint pain or brain fog or any of those chronic things that don't feel great. Consistent digestive upset, poor sleep. All of these things can be related to infection. So there are four main types of infections that I find in people's blood work all the time: viral infections, bacterial, fungal, and parasitic infections. Any of these things can steal all your energy because your body always wants you to be as healthy as possible, wants to be keeping you stable and thriving. But if you have all these infections going on, I mean, I've read blood work where they have all four of these infections, super common in autoimmune disorders. If you have all those infections going on, then your body's fighting that all the time, which takes a lot of energy. So you're using up your energy stores to just fight these infections. So you don't even notice that you actually do have energy because you use it up so quickly because your body is just really trying to stay alive and trying to keep you functioning throughout the day. So it's a lot of work for your body to do this. You're constantly working on fighting these infections. And if we can get to the roots of the infections and get rid of them, then you free up a lot of energy. So how do you know if you have an infection? Well, this is something that I'm really good at finding, and I would love to teach you how to find it too. So the key is in your blood work. And really, the most basic blood work that most of us have is the complete blood count. Part of that complete blood count is the white blood cell count. And your white blood cell count can be within the normal range, and you can still have infections. White blood cells are the kinds of cells that fight infections. But hopefully, if you have this blood test done, they also did the differential. Now, the differential is where they split the white blood cells into the different types of white blood cells. This is the part you might see on there that says neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, basophils. Those are the 5 main types of white blood cells that show up on the complete blood count. And each of those different types fights a different kind of infection. So neutrophils, those fight off the bacterial and fungal. Monocytes and lymphocytes, those are fighting viral infections. Eosinophils and basophils, those are more on the parasitic range. So if any of the ratios are off within these, then you have an infection and a reason why you don't have the energy that you want to have. If you have these numbers and you have any of the symptoms I mentioned earlier about the chronic pain or fatigue or digestive stuff, any of that, get in touch. I would love to help you just look through those numbers and see if they're out of range, see which ones are not in range, and help you solve that once and for all. Because right now, if you're if you have this infection going on, which honestly most people do, then you have more inside stress than outside stress, or it has so much inside stress that you can't handle your outside stress. So, what do I mean by inside stress? Well, what I mentioned before about your body fighting the infection all the time. You're really stressed out on the inside. All of your energy is going to internal defense. And so, most of us, when we have these symptoms and we go try to figure out what's wrong with our MD, they tell us to reduce stress in our lives. It's really hard to reduce stress in your life. I mean, what are you going to do? Stop working? Stop raising your kids? Stop doing what you love? That tends to be the thing that gets cut. But that really adds stress because if you're not doing what you love, then that's stressful too. So cutting outside stress, I feel like is kind of impossible. But if you can cut the inside stress by finding what is causing it, the infection, and addressing that, I'm not saying that I would want you to take a whole bunch of antibiotics or anything. I have very targeted things that I use, like herbal supplements that I use to help with these. But if you can target those infections and get rid of the inside stress, then your whole world opens up to have enough energy to manage your outside stress and actually have fun in your life. So, if you are ready to create long lasting internal change by addressing what's actually going on to cause your symptoms, then please reach out. I would love to do, excuse me, a free consult and just help you figure out what's going on, get you on your way to healing, being well, creating long lasting internal change, and having all the energy that you want to address your whole life, to live your life at its fullest. The easiest way to Schedule with me is to go to my website, drelizabethdavidson.com. You will see a schedule a discovery call button there. Press that. It takes you right to my Calendly link. You can also sign up for my newsletter where you will keep learning more little nuggets like this and keep getting the reminders for um, my classes that I do each Monday. This class, the weekly well-being deep dive, I tell you what's coming up next when I send out my newsletter on Wednesdays. So weekly newsletter, you get a well-being tip of the week, you get a link to the recording from last week's, and you get the info on what is upcoming the next week, plus just a little tiny bit of education to help you live your best life with all the energy that you want. I so look forward to hearing you, and I would love to hear your comments on what you thought of this class. Keep in touch.